Chris Watkin back again with Alex Pelosi-Buchanan, who is a very well-known estate agent from South Wales. Thanks for joining me today, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to me about how you've become more of a confident estate agent over the years. Talk to me.
So yeah, confidence. I think if we go back to my school days, I wasn't a particularly confident child, wasn't the alpha male. So it's really something I've had to kind of teach myself. And I think in doing this job, I've had to learn to be confident in certain situations.
But how do you get over being too confident and coming across as cocky?
I think let's face it, there are always going to be people in this world who are just naturally good at everything. They can put their hand to anything.
Yeah, but that's not cockiness, is it?
No, but then some people, I think, then play on that too much and it comes across as cocky. I think being confident, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could just be that one little step you take towards doing something. So.
And how did you push yourself?
I think I've always wanted to push myself a bit.
Do you have a mentor or a guide?
Yeah, well, I've been part of Agents Together. So I've had a mentor, Ross, which has helped recently. But I mean, going back.
Is that from Ross from Shropshire?
Yes. Yeah.
Ross Denalio.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, good lad he is.
Yeah. So.
Not Dighton. Yeah.
Not Dighton. Yeah. So, but I think.
You two are very similar, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
No, well, it's gone well. I mean, he's given me a lot of guidance on things.
Good lad. Good lad.
But I think I've always been worried about what other people thought about me, which I think everybody is. But I suppose using that to try and get over sort of other anxieties and wanting to be better. And I think reading, listening to audiobooks, that's been a big part. And kind of, I think a lot of it has been self-development. It's been spending time to try and figure out, rather than thinking, why can't I do these things? Thinking how. I think that was a big thing for me because I used to think, why can't I be like those other agents? Why can't I be that good on video? Why can't I negotiate like my colleague? And instead of just letting the why kind of really push me down, I'd be thinking, well, how? And I started looking more at, again, mentorship. I signed up to a couple of different mentor schemes as well. Real Estate Gym, Tom Panos, fantastic coach in Australia. But again, I've just found that, again, there's been lots of hints and tips within there, which kind of helped me go out and when I was on the valuation next time, being more confident in my pitch.
Because I know you're an employed estate agent, but you act like you own the business and you're taking your own responsibility. That's quite a rare thing.
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to treat it like my own business. Not that I'm saying it is, but I think that's the best way to think about it, because I think if you don't care enough, then you're not going to want to push yourself. You'd be quite happy to settle and think, I'll turn up at 9, go home at 5. Okay. Whereas I've always thought, no, I want to do more.
But when you do tend to push yourself, you'll put your head above the parapet. People will start to criticize you. How do you deal with that?
I think that, at the end of the day, people can think what they want. And I think, at the end of that's how they choose to feel. And that's another thing I've had to teach myself is that, you shouldn't worrying about what other people think. That's their opinion. That's their issue with you. And I think, at the end of the day, you've just got to be true to yourself. And I think you've just got to do what feels right for you. And, it might sound a little bit selfish, but I think, at the same time, the only way you're ever going to push yourself is by putting yourself out your comfort zone and doing things that you might upset some people along the way.
But again, in life, you're always hit by hitting brick walls. How do you get over those walls?
I think the best thing to get over those walls is to always just try and be 1% better. Always try and, because I think often people think, if you're looking at a wall, you're thinking, right, there's a massive, or look at it as a ladder. You might be thinking, I've got to get up over that ladder. And it's very easy to look at it and think it's too daunting. I'm not going to start climbing, but it's all about taking one step at a time. And, obviously through doing video, that made me more confident.
Okay. Another part a lot of people suffer from is procrastination. How do you deal with that?
So procrastination is something I think all my life I've struggled with. I'm, I suppose, a bit of an overthinker. I'm always kind of looking for a reason not to do something, whereas actually...
Yeah, but at least you're self-aware that you've gone through it and you're pushing yourself.
I frustrate myself, and my wife gets very frustrated by it because, she'll give me things to do and I don't get round to doing them, but often it's because I know I've got to do it, but I spend more time thinking about it than actually doing it. So something that only very recently I've started doing, Mel Robbins, she has something called the 5-second rule. And it's where if you're thinking about, maybe you've got a client to call, you're worried about picking up the phone, or it could be another situation you've got to deal with, is the time it takes you to think about doing it, you could have taken action. So by counting down from 5, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. On that go, you pick up the phone, you make, or whatever it is you've got to do. And the reason you count down is because if you count upwards, the natural progression is to go 6, 7, 8. So it's a bit like a rocket launch. And that's even from getting up in the morning, because I struggle in the morning sometimes to get up. So using that when your alarm's going, it's very easy to think I'll knock it off and go back to sleep, counting down and starting. And since I've started doing that, I've been getting up earlier, I've got more out of my days. So that's then helped with that natural confidence, because I felt better about myself, and I felt that I've got a lot more out of my days than I was before. So
now, obviously, you can't do this by yourself. Who out there has helped and guided you on that? I know you've already mentioned Ross.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got Joe, your boss, but who else?
I think obviously from a work, having the guys in work, I love the whole team. The whole team I work with, it's a great environment to work, and I think that does help with me being more confident, because I feel like I can be myself. I feel like I can push myself because they encourage me. So I think having an encouraging environment around you is so important, having a good circle of influence, but also outside of that, other agents. And I mean, a great example is Adam Mackay. Love Adam. And we were at a conference, and it was so funny because he was talking about watching my videos and I was talking about watching his, but he was saying, I copy you. And I said, yeah, but I copy you. And that was a good confidence boost, seeing another agent that, lives the other end of the country who says, yeah, I love watching your stuff. So that made me think, people are noticing. And
they never pick the phone up to you and say that, though, do they?
No.
Until you have these such events.
Well, exactly. And, going back to the Guild conference, I think the one that's just gone now, probably one of the biggest things for me in my career and personally, was learning to say yes to things. And I said yes to going on stage with as part of the panel to talk about Fee Street, which is a great tool, by the way, by Daniel Pepperell. Little plug for you there, Dan. But talking about how, again, it's helped in the business. But to get on stage in front of a room full of hundreds of other agents I was so nervous about it. I literally, before I went on, I was almost thinking of saying, I can't do it. But I just kept telling myself, think of the outcome.
Yes.
What are you going to get out of this?
You were very good, if you don't mind me saying.
Good. I mean, I was going to ask you, what was it that invited, what prompted you to invite me here? Because obviously there must have been something that made you notice me.
The Guild conference.
It was a Guild conference. So again, showing that as an example, if I hadn't done the Guild conference, I wouldn't be sat here right now.
No, you wouldn't.
So that kind of confidence and thinking by doing these things, by saying yes and pushing yourself out your comfort zone, can actually have such a good effect on your life. And it's something that I suppose I'm just going to develop more and more.
Who else has helped you develop?
I think my wife, I've got to say, she's had to rein me in a few times, and because I was spending a lot of late nights, but working away on my laptop when I probably shouldn't have been. But no, she's been a big support. She's been very patient, especially with the market we've had and the longer hours. Yes. And she drives me because she wants nice things and I want nice things. Yes. So actually, and I think being able to, I talked in my other chat about not being able to do anything, and I think being able to now be in a position where I can treat to go for meals and things like that, and that makes me feel more confident because I feel like I'm actually making a difference and I'm actually my life is moving in the direction I want it to.
Which other agents do you look up to?
Oh, I mean, there are so many. I mean, you've got, you've got agents such as Sean Newman and the Newmans Group. You've got, like I said, the Finding Country. You've got obviously John Hanford and John's lot. You've got Perry Power. I've always been a big fan of Perry Power. Ben Madden, up and coming Finding Country agent. Actually recently did some training with Ben, and he's a great guy.
He's exceptional.
He is so good.
Check his videos out on my YouTube channel. Wow.
But Ben, I got to say, when we sat in the room and what we went through. And I think the nice thing about him as well, especially from a training perspective, because he's an agent, just like John Hanford, when we trained with John as well, he's an agent and he gets it. And I think seeing those guys and listening to them and the mistakes they've made, it makes you realize, actually, it's not just me. These guys have been through it as well. They've all been through that journey. So I think looking up to other agents and following other agents, I think is so important.
The one thing that because I've interviewed all of those, is the one thing that is they're hungry, yet they're humble.
Yeah.
And I think that there's not many out there. Looking at a further field, not just agents, but trainers and things like that, who else do you look up to?
Well, I would mention Tom Panos. So I follow Tom, Josh Vegan, Ryan Serhant.
Yeah, the American, yeah.
I love Ryan Serhant. Again, the positivity is infectious. I just love it. And I think that's something I've always been quite a pessimistic person, so I have tried to be more positive for the team. But I think probably the one thing actually Ryan Serhant said was to try and find your why. You know, why do you do what you do? And also then referring to what your wall was and thinking back to a time when you weren't that happy and trying to remember that. So if there is a time where you're perhaps feeling a bit insecure or not confident, you can think back and say, do I want to be that person? And think, no, I don't want to go back to being that person. So let's push forward. And I think trying to find your why is so important. And for me, my why is to go out there and make a difference, not just in the industry, but just generally in people's lives. And I think that's something that you've always got to know why you do what you do. Because if you don't know what your why is, then how can you expect to move forward? So I think, you know, for anyone out there who is perhaps struggling with thinking about, you know, finding confidence, think, you know, why are you doing what you're doing? And if you can't really find an answer, then maybe you've got to find a different route.
Thank you for your time today, Alex.
Thank you.